Back on the record this morning with our political roundtable. Another busy week to discuss, which always is fun, right? Joining us at the table, Democratic analyst Marianne Marsh, Republican analyst Rob Gray. Let's start with Diana DiZoglio. I mean, what pops out? Is she going to run for governor? Is she going to get her audit? Marianne, go first.
I think that was the big question in the interview you guys did. I mean, she addressed a lot of topics, a lot of questions to be addressed, but it was the answer about what she's going to do next. It was sort of the non-denial denial. I'm focused on my current job. I'm focused on what we're doing. She's got options. I mean, she passed that ballot question. She raised her profile. She enlisted a bunch of people doing that. And I think it's TBD on what she does next.
Rob?
What stuck out to me is she sort of redeclared war on Attorney General Andrea Campbell over this ballot initiative issue. So there's a lot of infighting going on Beacon Hill involving the auditor.
All right, President Trump keeps going after Harvard. This week, he canceled federal contracts with the school. Then a federal judge ruled against the president, saying the school can host international students. Finally, there was this moment at graduation.
Welcome.
Started slowly, then they picked up. People gave Harvard President Alan Garber a standing ovation for a full minute. Now, he clearly has support from people who were there, but Rob, does Harvard have the support from everyday people, and is that what Trump is counting on?
Well, you put your finger on it. Don't mistake a Harvard graduation audience for average American voters. Trump is winning the politics against Harvard. The question is whether can Harvard win on a legal front. I think they can, but I think they also need to consider giving Trump something. Cap the percentage of international students. You have to give Trump something. He wants to make a deal. He may back down if they give him something.
Marianne?
You don't have to give him anything. He's breaking the law. He has no authority to withdraw money from them, take money from them, contracts from them, or telling them who they can enroll in school or not, let alone foreign students. So there's no need to do that.
I agree, but that's a long war for Harvard.
But it's the alternative, which is to lose education, to lose our democracy, lose our country. The reality here is that when you look at the polls, overwhelmingly in the 70th percentile say people across this country are opposed to the way Trump is handling this. And Trump supporters oppose it too, because many people are finding out, wait, this is the woman who's at my church. This is the waitress who works with me. You know, whole towns are coming up to save people who are being wrongly deported. And that tells you everything. There's just a lack of fairness about all of it.
I don't think so. I think on the Ivy League schools, Trump is on the side of average Americans. I mean, I think they identify politically with him attacking these schools.
So let's stay on that topic. Next issue, Massachusetts targeted again by ICE operation, and this time it was on Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Take a look at the photos and video from the Nantucket Current. It shows it all happening. Trump administration has said it's going after dangerous criminals. Back in 2022, the islands were Florida Governor Ron DeSantis first targeted for migrants. So Marianne, is there a political reason to focus on the islands?
In the menacing mind of Donald Trump, he views the vineyard in Nantucket as the Harvard of the Cape and Islands. It's a symbol, that's it. But there are two other really troubling things about this story. Number one, a Channel 5 reporter took a ferry over to the vineyard to cover this, and that ferry was accompanied by not one but two Coast Guard boats with members of the Coast Guard with their rifles out there. That is unbelievable and unacceptable, number one. Number two, they claim that they arrested 40 people. Two of them had criminal records, they claim. No proof, no warrants. And then where are the other 38? Like, who are they? Where did they go? What happened to them? So across this state and country, ICE and others are acting in a way that is reminiscent of the old Soviet era, where people got plucked off the streets, masks on and all this. But to do this on the vineyard in Nantucket, especially when Nantucket has some of the wealthiest people who supported Trump over there, tells you he's just trying to run amok and instill fear in everybody.
Rob?
I mean, there are still instances, obviously, of overzealous pursuit of illegal immigrants. But Trump is still narrowly winning the politics on this. Some people think he's going too far, but overall, a slight majority think Trump's doing the right thing on immigration. He's lost people on tariffs. He's in the 30s on supportive tariff policy. So he's going to keep doing this because politically it works for him.
All right, to the Boston race for mayor. A super PAC aligned with candidate Josh Kraft has announced $1.4 million in attack ads against Mayor Michelle Wu. The group is called Your City, Your Future, and it released an ad on Thursday taking aim at Mayor Wu's record. Rob, what kind of a role do you think big money is going to play in this campaign? I mean, we've got 6 months to go.
Well, first of all, Josh Kraft is finally in the arena in this campaign. So far, he's just been out doing events, relying on earned media. Now his super PAC is actually launching advertising. We will see if it catches on, but his super PAC is giving his campaign the chance and the visibility to catch on. Clearly, super PACs on both sides. The mayor's going to have one too. There may be more than one. They're going to be funded by labor. Super PACs are going to do the majority of the battling in this race in terms of advertising on TV and elsewhere.
What do you think, Marianne?
The test is whether this advertising by the super PAC improves Josh Kraft's standing in this race. He's down anywhere from 18 points to low 20s. So are they going to be able to do that? And then how are they going to do that? Are they going to do it with positive ads for Josh Kraft? Probably not. I think they're going to take the negative route to try to knock her down further, get her numbers down to make it a close the gap between them. They still got to go in front of it. But I think people took the wrong lesson from Donald Trump, and you can see it in this campaign. People think the slash and burn politics is what works. Donald Trump did that for 10 years. And we're still talking about it here with him in the White House. But it was before that. People in this country knew Donald Trump for decades. They knew who he was. They liked him on The Apprentice and all this. They know the name Kraft. They don't know Josh Kraft. And it's still on Josh Kraft to get out there and define himself and do it in a positive way if he wants to win.
The next item is the basket. The Market Basket family feud is back. The executive committee put CEO Arthur T. Demoulas on leave, saying he planned to disrupt business operations. He called it, and I'm quoting here, farcical cover for a hostile takeover. 11 years ago, workers and customers took his side. Rob, could we see the same type of pushback and loyalty, or have times changed in the 11 years?
I think it could develop because with inflation, people like market basket prices and value, and they have a loyal following among customers. But also, this is a battle between a bunch of billionaires in the same family, so people don't care. We'll see is the answer.
What do you think, Marianne?
Demoulas and Market Basket are the telenovela of grocery stores, and I just don't have the capacity to deal with it. But he's made $7 billion out of $1.6 billion, and you're telling me the board chair hasn't met anyone in 2 years, and he had to put the direction in ways to get to the chip. So good luck to everyone. I think this will be the replacement for the Karen Reed trial when it's over.
We're on the record this morning. Stay with us.